Battlefield 6 recently had more multiplayer details revealed. In an updated community post this past week, DICE showcased the class system Part 2, an amended community update post talking about the core of how classes will work in Battlefield 6. Previously, the class system was mentioned that it would be taking more character-oriented approaches to classes with various benefits per class, but was not going to be locking specific weapons to specific classes.
Personally, I think that's a big fucking mistake. I think that's a big fucking mistake, having universal weapons like 2042, because then you have a bunch of fucking supports staying all the way out the other side of the map with a 12 times scope sniping people. That is the worst possible fucking thing they could do, having universal weapons. The whole point of Battlefield is teamwork. That's literally the whole point. In fact, you can go to the beta and test it out immediately. You can just go and test it out. They have a playlist where you have class weapons and the other one with universal weapons. And you immediately see a big difference on the teamwork. There's a lot more teamwork when you have the restrictions than when you don't have it. Because your roles are more defined. You pick the class, you know exactly what you're gonna do and how you're gonna do it. And that's why it's so much better, because that makes the synergy between each class more pronounced. So them going with universal weapons, worst possible idea they could go. It's gonna be another 2042 problem.
Overwhelming amount of the vocal feedback pertaining to the mention that this wasn't the right move and that weapons should be locked to classes.
There you go, think the community immediately saying that.
They came back and updated players on specifics of how the class system upgrades would work, including training paths which give you and your squad in-game benefits, class-specific traits, gadgets, and weapon attributes. Weapons themselves were still confirmed to be fluid and not locked to any specific class. Now, this has divided the otherwise seemingly positive reception of the footage that we've seen leaked from Battlefield Labs so far, but it appears DICE are indeed keeping with their initial vision. So what do you think? Should weapons be locked to classes, or are you liking the idea that any weapon can be used with any class?
No, they should be locked to fucking classes. It's obvious. And here's why it's obvious. It's because we already tried and tested both methods. That's why it's fucking obvious. We've already had Battlefield all the way to Bad Company 2 had locked weapons. Battlefield 3 locked weapons. Battlefield 4 locked weapons. Hardline. Battlefield 5. Every one of them had locked weapons, and it works. People play the game with more synergy, with more teamwork. 2042 is the one where you don't have that much teamwork. You can go right now and test it. You have a bunch of fucking medics running around with snipers, sniping everything. You ask them for ammo, you're literally spamming the button next to their ear, going, give me ammo, please, I'm out of rockets, there's vehicles to destroy, give me some fucking ammo, and they ignore you. Why? Because they're sniping, they don't know shit. You drop a grenade right on their feet and you go, ammo, please. And they don't do it, they just run past you. Like, it's a big fucking mistake. Please don't do that, DICE. Don't be stupid. We've already tried and tested both methods. We know what works and what doesn't. The entire community is telling you, we will throw money at you if you do this for us. And you're just going, nah, we know better. You don't. You thought you knew better with other games, and look how those went. Just don't do it. Don't be stupid. Fucking DICE.
Most apex predators will not attack a human unless provoked, cornered, threatened, or starving. Predators cannot risk injury. You can't hunt while you heal, and you can't heal if you starve. They're most likely going to look at you and decide you're not worth the risk and effort. Large prey animals, however, do not evaluate things this way. The moose feels threatened, it doesn't start calculating whether to risk injury. They will flee if they can, but fight if they must. Death is inevitable, but it will take you down with it, if at all possible. A wild boar, however, does not give a shit. They just...
Yeah, it's true, actually. All of this that he just said, it's true about the animals. Like, predators in general, as long as they have a full stomach, they just don't care. If you don't pose a threat to a bear, and he has a full stomach, he's going to ignore you. He doesn't care. But if he's hungry, you are lunch. You're on the dinner plate. Like, it's fair game for them. But herbivores are a different story. They will kill you just because. They're the dangerous ones. It's not like in Disney movies. Bro, I hunted boars before, they are damn menaces. I know, right? They're scary. They go berserk as soon as they feel threatened. Like, if you don't give a kill shot, they just charge at you and try to disembowel you. It's scary. We have them over here as well. Boars are freaking menace. They just go berserk and charge at you crazy like. With that blood rage.
Years ago, I used to drink a cup of coffee in the morning, then I would get a Monster can before my workouts, but I always felt kinda sickish and sluggish.
Yeah, I wonder why you're drinking 2 times the caffeine. Jesus.
I don't know why. And then, after a while, I discovered that all the things that I experienced, both emotionally and physically, was anxiety. And then I discovered that I'm overdosing on caffeine. So yeah, peeps, if you suddenly feel anxious, there's a high chance that you're overdosing on caffeine, or you're just not getting any benefits of it, or getting only the opposite effects. It's especially very common for people who suffer with ADHD. Now, the only thing that I drink is a cup of coffee in the morning, and it is not for energy. It is so I can take a fad and feel as light as a feather. Years ago.
Okay, then you cry. Some scrubbing. What is this? Oh.
In 2022, there was a horror puzzle game. It had no dialogue and you couldn't find a single word of text in the game. The buildings were made of flesh and bone. Every weapon looked like a living creature, and the enemies' designs were filled with sexual hits. The ending left many people baffled. What exactly was the story this game was trying to tell? To answer that, I spent 4 months studying the art book and gathering all the scattered details from the game. Finally, I believe I put together a story that is as close to the creator's intentions as possible. Whether or not this interpretation is correct, I invite you to hear me out. So now we're diving into Scorn.
Yeah, I remember this game back when it came out. It was weird. Never actually got around to play it. Not sure if I should. It's a freaky game. It's made by the art design is made by the same dude who did the Xenomorph from Aliens movie. I forgot his name. H.R. Geiger, I think that's his name.
In a mysterious land, there lives a kind of humanoid creature. They have troubles that we Earthlings can never understand. Every resident here is a conjoined being.
Ew.
According to the official trailers and setting books, these creatures have 2 faces. One is on the front of the body, the other on the back. We call them the primary face and the secondary face. The primary face is on the front. It has no mouth, but it's in control of most of the body, handling movement and reproduction. The secondary face on the back has no limbs, but does have a mouth, and its job is to eat. Even though they share the same body, these 2 parts have completely separate consciousnesses.
What the shit?
With this kind of physical setup, conflicts between the 2 consciousnesses are unavoidable. The primary face, which controls the body, is desperate to get rid of the secondary face, seeing it as dead weight, and longs for a freer existence. But most secondary faces resist separation. If they split, they'd lose the ability to move around or reproduce. This deep-seated conflict is like an invisible chain, tightly holding back the development of this group. Over the long course of time, this race has quietly entered its 2nd stage of development.
So it's basically a parasite. Flesh editing and equal rights.
To achieve separation, this civilization began researching and developing flesh editing technology. From simple firearms to complex architecture, everything was built on the foundation of flesh editing technology. Under this technological system, the primary faces proposed a new solution. That is, after the primary face and secondary faces are separated, using flesh editing technology to complete their bodies. In the art of the game, we can see a noticeable seam on the back of a primary face's head. We are confirmed that this is the primary face after separation and physical perfection. To calm the secondary faces, the primary faces promised that after separation, both sides would have equal rights and status. In that era, symbols of egalitarianism were everywhere, such as the primary face man on the left and the secondary face man with a mouth on the right were in an absolutely equal position. They were always placed equally and symmetrically. But we all know what perfect symmetry really means in things like serious sculptures or paintings.
Also, is it me or does this look like a vagina? I don't know, maybe I'm looking too much into it.
If you saw a king and a prime minister together in a painting, would they ever be perfectly symmetrical? Of course not. These images were a way to show the journey from conjoined life to the promise of equal rights. With flesh editing technology and the promise of equality, separation became a real possibility. The secondary faces finally agreed to it, and during that time they solved a lot of technical issues. For example, they had to figure out how the separated primary faces would eat and how the secondary faces would walk. During this time, a substance called white sludge became the key breakthrough in this technology. It can be understood as a material formed from flesh that has lost its biological activity. Highly editable, it can merge with humanoid bones and skin, increasing the hardness of organs. It is an ideal material for body modification. Using white sludge in flesh editing technology, it can heal the trauma of separation, so it has been widely adopted for a long time. However, the separation process was far from perfect, especially since this separation involves splitting the brain. Both the separated primary and secondary faces would definitely suffer some degree of intellectual decline. Primary faces might retain more of their brain matter, but secondary faces, because they need more flesh editing to grow new body parts, experienced a significant drop in intelligence. Some even developed physical mutations. People's physical constitutions vary. The same modifications led to different levels of intellectual decline in different individuals. Some lost more, some lost less. That's when the group started splitting into classes, based on how smart they were.
So basically they created a, what's it called? A hierarchy? A caste system, I think.
Intelligence gap within the species, the primary faces with higher intelligence gradually gained more influence in society. Meanwhile, the secondary faces, who were becoming progressively less intelligent, didn't realize their own decline and tended to accept more modifications, which only made them even less intelligent. As a result, class differentiation began to emerge within the species, driven by these differences in intelligence. They started to establish a system and formed a council. In the context of the body modification project, the council members achieved a leap in social status. They soon conceived their next plan. If completing the body has its flaws, why not create the perfect body instead? This idea was quickly agreed upon by all, but they soon encountered a major problem. That is, white sludge required to create the perfect bodies was in short supply. They had severely underestimated the resources needed for such a development. Although there is no concrete evidence, it seems to me that white sludge could only be harvested from corpses. The natural deaths and accidental fatalities that provided corpses were no longer sufficient. Instead, many of the failed secondary faces became the primary source. As the perfect body project faced delay after delay, the council, after several deliberations, made a breaking decision, one that ultimately plunged the species into a dark age.
Betrayal of the flesh and idealism.
In their quest for more white sludge, the council devised a breaking plan. They decided that the entire species would contribute their bodies. To achieve this plan, they first needed to propagate ideologism. In the art book, there's an image of an unseparated primary and secondary face with an octopus-like creature perched
It's Cthulhu!
on their head, draining their thoughts. The developers also mentioned that humanoid bodies are considered disposable, but what's contained inside them isn't. Scorn civilization worships the consciousness and its physical form, which is identical no matter the sex of the body it inhabits. So the council members gave up their bodies and created an ultimate brain to manipulate the populace. The construction of this central brain was extremely cruel. In the later stages of the game, within the Sky City, we can see these council members with their smooth and flawless skin when we connect the protagonist to the main brain. Have you ever wondered if he's linking up with a pre-existing neural network? And who built that initial network? By now, you likely have the answer. With the establishment of the central brain, the societal structure once again transformed. The council aggressively promoted the insignificance of the physical body and championed the uploading of consciousness as the ultimate form for each humanoid. After completing this crucial first phase, the cruel and dark second phase of their plan began to unfold.
Betrayal of... More betrayal of
To
the
obtain
flesh.
enough white sludge, the first step the council took was to strip the secondary faces of their human rights. they began intentionally interfering with the separation procedures, transforming the separated secondary faces into mindless monsters and releasing them into society to cause chaos. The goal was to show everyone that the secondary faces would ultimately become terrifying monsters, providing the council with solid justification to strip them of their human rights. During this period, all the primary faces were desperate to rid themselves of the monsters on their bodies, while the secondary faces cowered in the shadows, losing hope for their future. In the art of the game, we see an image where the secondary face is being washed away like a puddle of sludge, yet still tries its best to cling to the primary face's body. Its face is filled with helplessness and fear, and the primary face wears a complicated expression, unsure whether it's a hint of longing or simply a desire to escape quickly. Afterward, the secondary faces were used by the council as a resource. They began undergoing modifications in 3 different directions. The first type is the moldmen. For those secondary faces...
The fuck are those? The story of these strange mutilated beings is one of trauma. The hands in the assembly's battery farm, they are humanoids bred as bodies to be utilized. They are not even given dignity of a name, though the team refers to them as moldmen on account of their processed forms. This act of processing is an excruciating, inhumane procedure that first involves pressing the body, which takes time, says concept art artist, then molding it into a package. Yikes! And then leaving the concerted crumpled remains to dry out into usable nuggets. They go through this entire process alive, and that is the true horror of their situation. He emphasizes, I never wanted to make an ethical or moral judgment on why things are the way they are. Still though, that's pretty fucked up.
Whose bodies were more complete after the separation. Some of them would become moldmen, preserved in fossils as a form of resource reserve. The second type is the homunculi. While moldmen are preserved in relatively complete biological forms, homunculi serve as living batteries. From the very beginning, they are kept in small containers, with their limbs deliberately atrophied to enhance their use as power sources.
Wow.
Whether they are placed inside guards to provide energy, or eventually compressed into liquid and injected into perfect bodies, these are the ways homunculi are utilized. As for the third type, I'll explain it later.
Wow. Imagine your whole purpose is to be a battery.
So, what role did the primary faces play during this stage? While it seemed they still retained their rights, in the eyes of the council, the primary faces were nothing more than tools. All primary faces undergo 2 different directions of development. First, based on the different outcomes of separation and reconstruction, there are variations between individual primary faces, mainly reflected in differences in their skin and muscle tissues. In the game, we can see the primary faces crawling out from here. Their skin is intact and looks very hard, similar to the skin of the perfect bodies in Sky City. Therefore, it can be boldly speculated that the creation of the perfect bodies is achieved by modifying the primary faces' bodies. The other part of the primary faces consists of the characters we control in the game. After undergoing separation surgery, they are placed into a wall of flesh for body completion, which is referred to as the Genesis Wall in the art book. The main character's genesis expressed visually, says game director Lubomir Peklor. There is nothing more to it than that. How did it come into being? Why is it this way? That we are not explaining, he teases.
Okay.
From this, it's clear that the creators intended to deliberately mislead us. If a wall can give birth to humanoids, then why are there statues of pregnant figures in the Sky Citadel? And the many sculptures depicting copulation also suggest that this civilization still relies on reproduction to propagate. If the wall could truly create life, then people would worship the wall instead of worshipping acts of reproduction. So the Genesis Wall is simply a factory used to repair the bodies of the primary faces after they've been separated. When a primary face falls from the Genesis Wall, if they survive the fall, the council assigns them a purpose. They must undergo a rigorous selection process and trials to earn the right to enter the Sky Citadel and become an engineer. This serves 2 purposes. One is to ensure that the primary faces entering the Sky Citadel are fully qualified, and the other is because these primary faces will be responsible for constructing the perfect bodies. But these newly born primary faces struggle to even walk, let alone face the highly aggressive monsters. At this point, the third modification plan for the secondary faces was introduced, the parasites.
Oh.
Each engineer corresponds to a secondary face that has been transformed into a parasite. These secondary faces lose their humanity and intellect, retaining only their primal instincts. Due to their shared physical origin, they instinctively seek out their primary faces to reunite. For the engineers, merging with the parasite is instilled as a necessary trial, and they are aware of this and willingly accept it. This is why, in the game, we see the protagonist being tackled by a parasite. He shows no resistance, but rather accepts this merging gladly. After the fusion, the protagonist can immediately use the parasite's hands, further proving that they are indeed one. Now, with the analysis of the entire game's worldview completed, many questions and the final ending can be understood much better. At the beginning, a protagonist is awakened, accompanied by flashbacks of 2 scenes, indicating the presence of 2 characters, a primary face and a secondary face. At the start of the game, players control the fully intact secondary face after separation. However, during the exploration of the factory, an explosion occurs. Many players might think this explosion is an accident, but could this possibly be a necessary event where the primary face, as the engineer, awakens while the factory searches for its secondary face? The purpose is to find him and transform him into a parasite. This also explains why the primary face possessed by the parasite wields weapons, and the symbolic object of the engineer is this key that emits a wireless signal. The number of stars on the key corresponds to the engineer's rank. Only the highest ranking engineers are qualified to enter the Sky City and complete the Perfect Body project. The protagonist is also steadily raising their rank to gain entry to the Sky City. Everything seems to be progressing smoothly, but will things truly unfold as the Council intends?
Scorn and retribution.
Even at this point, we still have many questions. In such an advanced civilization, where did all the people go?
Dead?
Aside from the corpses scattered across the factory wasteland and the roaming monsters, we can't find a single living being of our own kind. In the depths of the underground, we encounter a massive, terrifying creature. When the player activates a device to cut into its body, it lets out cries of pain but never attacks us. In the art book, this creature is likened to a maternal figure, almost like the mother of all beings. After all, how could a mother harm her own children? It was imprisoned deep within the factory, confined and harvested like a resource by the very people it nurtured.
Ouch.
Yet, despite its boundless tolerance, it ultimately died at the hands of those same humanoid. How tragic. The player takes an unconventional and superior route to reach the Sky City. By this time, the parasite has caused significant harm to the primary face, but it's important to note that this harm is unintentional. The parasite only seeks to reunite with the primary face, nothing more.
Yikes.
However, now that the primary face has become an engineer upon
Bro, that thing growing out of him is just ew.
reaching Sky City, the parasite becomes nothing but a burden. The Council had long been prepared for this. Since they had arranged for the fusion, naturally, they also had a plan for separation. This is why there are devices in Sky City designed specifically to strip away the parasite beast. During the journey to Sky City, we still need to use the abilities of the parasite beast, but once we complete the final step, it will be ruthlessly removed. At this point, the theme of Scorn reaches its peak. You could say Sky City is a place filled with scorn. The only way secondary faces can stay there is by becoming living batteries. When the parasites are finally removed, that's the end of their life. But this time, the player's parasite escapes, and yet our characters doesn't seem to care at all. This really shows the primary face's scorn for the secondary faces. Afterward, the compressed homunculi fluid is injected into the perfect body. As the platform slowly rises, the perfect body, crafted over countless years, finally reaches its final step. The protagonist walks toward a device and fully willingly begins the final procedure,
Yikes.
undergoing surgery, cutting the abdomen and cracking open the skull to upload consciousness. This process is undoubtedly an excruciating torture, but for the characters, it is the highest honor. After the neural connection...
Bro, this animation reminds me of that old-ass game, what's it called? Quake. I think it was Quake. Like, you have a whole thing where you see your own character being mutilated alive. Eesh.
Connection is made to the main brain, the protagonist completes the consciousness upload. Then, using something like wireless transmission, their consciousness is transferred into the perfect body. You can see that the perfect body has this flower-like device on its head, which
That's
seems
nice.
like a Wi-Fi receiver. Only after uploading to the main brain can the consciousness be transferred into the perfect body. At this point, the protagonist has one final ceremony to go through. In my view, it's more of a farewell to the old body, symbolizing that from now on, this race will reproduce through perfect bodies, leaving the past physical form behind. The following sequence is arguably the most puzzling part of the entire game, and no interpretation has yet provided a solid explanation. The protagonist detaches a surgical arm and carries their former body forward, while the surgical arm's blade continuously stabs into that old body. To open the door ahead,
Why?
2 weights are required on the pressure plate, meaning carrying the body is necessary for this action. However, the act of detaching the surgical arm and pushing the surgical device aside is clearly an unscripted, non-essential, spontaneous behavior. It lacks logic and necessity. Perhaps, looking back at everything the characters have been through, the feeling at this moment is pure relief and joy. After all the physical torture they have endured, stepping into this new, perfect body must feel incredible. It is as if their entire race, after so many years and countless sacrifices, has finally been reborn. The characters must be thrilled deep down. From now on, they will say goodbye to their old bodies, goodbye to the pain and decay, and greet the dawn of a new life. The scene is quiet, but you can almost feel their silent but powerful cry of victory.
Oof. It just
We don't really
twitches.
know what's at the end of the road. Even if some players find a way to get there, they'll see that the creators didn't actually build anything for that area. We can imagine what might be there. But just then, something changes. The parasitic beast we abandoned, the one we drained of all its worth, comes running back filled with pure instinctual passion. Notice here, the protagonist senses the parasite approaching even without seeing it. The parasite's presence pulls the protagonist's mind straight back to his body. This overwhelming pull shows just how deeply connected the two are. The protagonist panics, looking at the perfect body he was so close to embracing, only to have that dream violently yanked away. The lowly parasite continues wrapping itself around the protagonist, and it's almost like a voice echoes in his head. Are you really going to leave me? I'm not letting you go. We've always been one. The parasite isn't malicious. It's just returning to its original state. This biological instinct. This is the game's ultimate display of scorn. At the very end of the game, just one step away from realizing his dream, the primary face gets tightly bound by his parasitic creature. The perfect body they spent countless years crafting remains untouched nearby, while it's the primary face and the parasitic creature that slowly fuse into one shapeless mass of flesh. Meanwhile, the consciousnesses trapped inside the main brain tremble in fear and despair. They send out strong pulses again and again, scanning the factories, cities, and wastelands. But there's no one left to respond. As the ones who make up the main brain, they know it will eventually decay and wither, and with no one left in their species, their end is sealed. The game's final achievement is titled Fin, a word borrowed from French meaning end or finish. While every other achievement in the game is labeled in English, why is the last achievement in French? Perhaps it symbolizes another civilization's comment on the extinct Scorn civilization. So that's my take on the story behind this game. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and show your support. I'll be diving into more game story analyses like this one in future videos.
No, this is a wacky game. Jeez. The human visually elusive man was right about literally everything. Don't know what that is. That's basically you actually survived the Necropmorphs in real life. Good question. I doubt
A
it.
corpse twitches on the floor.
I actually doubt it, but we shall see.
Bones snap. Flesh warps. In seconds, it becomes a grotesque creature, and it wants nothing more than to kill you.
Yo, that animation
Twitches
is
on the floor.
lit.
A corpse twitches on the floor.
Look at that.
Bones snap. Flesh warps. In seconds, it becomes a grotesque creature, and it wants nothing more than to kill you. Your weapon is almost out of ammo. Your suit is warning you. Oxygen levels dropping. Your mind starting to hear voices that shouldn't exist. But what if this wasn't just a game? Today, we're diving into Dead Space.
Okay.
Not just as a survival horror classic, but as a science fiction scenario that might be closer to reality than you'd expect. Could something like necromorph infection actually happen? Could the markers really mess with your brain?
Probably.
And could Isaac's plasma cutter actually work in real life?
Ooh.
Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and let's find out if you could survive in the universe of Dead Space.
Probably not. Probably not. I doubt it.
Imagine a corpse, reanimated, but not like your typical zombie. This thing twists into a grotesque killing machine, with claws where fingers used to be, and exposed bones sharpened like blades. That's a necromorph. In Dead Space, these horrific transformations are triggered by the markers, strange alien obelisks that emit electromagnetic signals. But these signals don't just reanimate the dead, they trigger violent, uncontrollable mutations in dead organic matter, turning human remains into biomechanical nightmares. Unlike real-world infections like rabies or the infamous cordyceps fungus, which infect living organisms, necromorphs only take over after you're already dead. That's the key.
Thank God.
They don't infect you while you're alive. They wait. Then they convert your corpse.
Can you imagine turning into a necromorph while you're still alive? That would be horrible. Like, it's like that fungus, the cordyceps fungus. That shit is scary. Like, there have been studies that say that the ants are still conscious while the fungus takes over their bodies and forces them to do what they do. Can you imagine being stuck in your own body and just having a fungus control it? That shit is scary. That's the kind of stuff that makes you stay awake at night. Oh, that's a bot. Let me call the bot. Bot dead.
A weapon. And it's anything but pretty. Tissue tears, muscles reorganize, bones snap, twist, and fuse into lethal new configurations. The exact result depends on the original body and its surroundings, meaning every necromorph is unique. In the real world, we've got much more modest examples. Cordyceps fungi take control of ants, hijacking their brains before killing them and erupting from their bodies to spread spores. Rabies makes mammals hyper-aggressive to boost transmission. But what Dead Space...
It also makes them not allergic, but fearful of water. Like, the reason why people who have rabies foam so much from the mouth, it's because they don't drink any water. Like, the virus actually forces them to be afraid of water and not be able to drink any water. That's why they start foaming from the mouth. That's where the virus concentrates the most. It's in the mouth. And the virus actually knows that it's going to develop more in the mouth, and in order to do that, the host cannot drink any water, so it just forces you to be afraid of water and not drink any water at all. Because otherwise you start dissolving the damn thing. It's kind of scary how nature works.
Imagines goes far beyond that. A pathogen that reanimates and weaponizes corpses in seconds. Biologically, this kind of transformation shares traits with cancer. Unchecked cell growth, complete disregard for biological limits. But even the fastest growing cancers take weeks to visibly deform tissue. In Dead Space, it happens in mere seconds. Some scenes even suggest the transformation produces so much heat that the victim's blood boils and bursts through their skin.
Yikes.
There's nothing on Earth that behaves like this. And what about those electromagnetic symbols from the markers? Could they really cause something like this? Well, we do know electromagnetic fields can affect cells, particularly gene expression. But we're talking subtle changes here. Sleep disruption, headaches, maybe some hormonal shifts, not full body reanimation and mutation. The idea of combining a synthetic signal with an alien pathogen is pure sci-fi creativity, but that's what makes it terrifying. The infection only spreads after death. It spreads fast via creatures like infectors and swarmers. Every corpse is a potential threat. It's not just a pandemic, it's a weaponized zombie outbreak on alien steroids. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, the markers have another effect. One that doesn't need you to be dead at all.
Oh no.
You're alone, walking the echoing halls of the USG Ishimura, and then you hear a voice. Is it someone from your crew? A radio transmission? No, it's your wife, dead for years. She's talking to you. This is a haunting. It's the marker hijacking your mind. The markers don't just trigger physical mutation. They emit what scientists in the Dead Space universe call the signal of madness, an electromagnetic field that scrambles the human brain, causing intense hallucinations, visual auditory, and emotional.
Damn.
What's horrifying is how real that feels. Hallucinations, paranoia, compulsive behavior, these are classic symptoms of schizophrenia and psychotic breaks. In Dead Space, the marker doesn't just simulate these symptoms, it amplifies them until entire crews are driven to madness, suicide, or mass murder. This mirrors real-world psychological phenomena, like group hysteria, where fear and belief spread irrational behavior across entire communities. Except here, the influence is being broadcast like a signal, and everyone exposed is vulnerable.
It's actually kind of weird how psychologically we can be not manipulated, but how group hysteria works. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, one person freaks out, all of a sudden you have an entire room freaking out, or even the placebo effect. Like, if one person thinks they have a virus, and it's very contagious, then everyone else thinks they have the virus as well. There was an actual episode about that on Dr. House. Very interesting stuff.
Scientific studies suggesting electromagnetic fields can affect brain activity, especially near the limbic system, the emotional core of the brain. Theoretically, interference in this region could trigger fear, aggression, confusion, but the effects observed in real experiments are subtle, mild discomfort, or mood shifts. What the marker does in Dead Space is pure psychological annihilation. The scariest part, you begin to lose your grip on what's real. You can't trust your eyes, your ears, even your own memories. In a place where one wrong move can get you killed, that level of mental distortion is deadly. Surviving this nightmare requires more than weapons. It requires clarity, the ability to hold onto your sanity when the world around you is tearing itself apart.
Yeah.
And for that, you need the right gear.
How the hell do you do that, though? You're going insane. How do you know?
Isaac Clarke isn't a Marine, he's an engineer, and that's what makes him dangerous. He doesn't survive because he's heavily armed. He survives because he knows how to use what he has. The rig suit is more than armor. It's a life interface. That glowing spine, it's a health monitor, one of the smartest diegetic UI elements in gaming, and also a concept rooted in real science.
Oh.
We already have wearable tech that tracks heart rate, oxygen levels, and stress.
True.
But integrating all of that directly into a fully sealed, space-ready suit with a live HUD visible to teammates, that's still sci-fi. For now. Then there's the gear. The plasma cutter, originally designed to cut through rock, not monsters. But its real strength is precision. Its rotating head lets Isaac switch between vertical and horizontal shots, perfect for severing limbs. In real life, plasma cutters do exist. They're used in heavy industry to slice through thick metal using high-energy plasma arcs. But they're big. They need inert gas tanks, serious power, and careful handling. A handheld, battery-powered plasma cutter like Isaac's? We're not there yet.
Yeah.
Still, the concept is genius. Isaac turns industrial tools into weapons of survival. It reflects the essence of real-world engineering. Adapt, overcome, survive. The modular upgrades? We see similar tech in modern drones, robotics, and custom-built machines.
Oh, really?
But everything has a cost. In Dead Space, resources are limited. Every plasma charge, every stasis pack, every energy cell is critical. This isn't just a gameplay mechanic. It mirrors the brutal efficiency required for space survival. Waste anything, and you're done. So, is Isaac's equipment realistic? Partially. It's grounded in science, but stretched for gameplay and drama. When the monsters start evolving, your gear alone won't save you. What will? Your strategy.
Just saying, but can't he just burn everything? Actually, no, now that I think about it, burning them wouldn't work. They would still charge at you and try to kill you. It is kind of weird. I mean, I guess you can set up a trap. Like a pitfall trap or something of the sort. Make them fall. And then burn them. I don't know. How long does it take to fire to destroy cells?
Forget everything you know about traditional combat. Headshots? Useless. With Necropmorphs, there's only one rule. dismember to survive. These things don't have working nervous systems. They don't bleed. They don't stop when you shoot them in the head. The only way to take one down is to cut off its limbs, one by one. And that demands control, precision, nerves of steel. One missed shot wastes precious ammo. One moment of hesitation, you're dead. But that's just the start. Necromorphs operate like a hive mind. Through the markers in massive nexus organisms, they coordinate. They set traps. They play dead. They hunt in packs. It's like going up against a swarm of killer ants. If each ant had the mind of a predator, your only real advantage? Environmental awareness. The Ishimura is packed with hazards, explosive canisters, tight corridors, faulty doors. Using the environment to your advantage can mean the difference between escape and a brutal death. And then there are the variants. The hunter, for instance, regenerates limbs in seconds. You can't kill it. At least, not with weapons alone. You have to stall it, trap it, or run. In this case, surviving doesn't mean winning. It means outthinking. These strategies echo real-world crisis management. Conserve energy, use your surroundings, stay calm. In Dead Space, the enemy adapts, learns, evolves, and you have to do the same.
Yikes.
Surviving a necromorph outbreak aboard the Ishimura takes more than firepower. It's a full spectrum test of your sanity, your strategy, and your ability to improvise under pressure. Every bullet matters, every choice counts, and the line between rational thought and total madness is razor thin. Real-world science might offer glimpses into the biology or psychology behind what we see in Dead Space, but in the end, nothing can truly prepare you for its sheer brutality. The only thing that might save you is your will to survive. So let me ask you, if you were in Isaac Clarke's boots, could you hold on to your humanity, or would you fall into the chaos? Let us know in the comments.
Don't know.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive into horror, science, and sci-fi, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Because
Don't know if I could. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I couldn't.
Damn, I just got sprung from jail. High five, high five, high five. Let's put you some lore. Pain sluts, I've got good news. You win again. The new Space Marine 2 Horde mode will treat your nuts like a speed bag.
Ouchies.
I got that good D. I got that good D. Siege mode will stomp your Titanicus Offitorium. It's a good thing the campaign made you grow a third nut, because the entire Tri-School's about to get busted. You're looking for a challenge? How about this? I've got 3 hot and single carnifexes in your area that are ready to tap dance on your
Holy
balls
shit.
until you're talking like Mickey Mouse. I had to take up gambling on anime horsewomen and Good Brother ASMR just to cope with the performance pressure.
The Emperor loves you, brother. Brother, the Emperor loves you. Brother, why'd you start the wave early? I heard you.
Horde mode is all about pain, suffering, agony. Every time you turn around, 100 more guys are waiting to pound you. They're waiting in line like your ass is Splash Mountain. Hell, you walk around the corner and bop, 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 someone's blasting loads into your ear. Your space cheeks are like Disneyland to the heretics. Your ass has become a destination. At least Space Jesus loves me, though. I'll keep that in mind for the next time I get stuck fighting his former lovers while I'm trapped in the fucking floorboard. There are so many enemies that by Wave 23, the game started letting me do takedowns on the air. Even Oxygen is a heretic now. In theory, Siege mode is fun. In reality, Siege mode is coded language where we've sent 10,000 enemies to suck and fuck you until our game breaks. I've seen a brother's computer get bricked on Wave 22. I've seen a brother's animations get shut off, so he's doing takedowns takedowns with nothing going on.
Nah, this is the type of shit you could do when you haven't gotten hard in 2000 fucking years.
I've seen my spaceman cheeks get stuck in the floor. Hell, I've had my own AI brothers change from speaking English to Spanish. Cato became Carlos.
Brother, get the tech priest. Gary is jumping in Espanol again. Oh shit, here comes Ice tutorial.
This mode is so hardcore that I can't even let the Make-A-Wish Marines be on my squad anymore. I'm sorry, you're just as useless as tits on a space nun. Space Jesus wants it this way. My hands are tied. And I know you're saying, Fleek, you're a tactician. You're not good at anything either. How would the team know where the Xenos are coming from without me, huh?
My Auspex is on cooldown. Fuck it. They're over there.
Now, I don't know what we'll do without their incredible contributions, but I've come this far, and the Emperor didn't raise no bitch. He raised a problem. Space Marines have put an end to more bloodlines than OnlyFans.
We can do this, brothers. For the That's the good stuff, brother.
Whenever I feel down, I love plowing hordes until I feel something. After I tried out that piece of shit Mind's Eye, I'm not gonna lie to you, pimp, I was feeling empty. But that emptiness was easily filled with several cheap hordes. And I'm not talking Dutch hordes, I'm talking filthy $2 Tijuana hordes. The dirtier the horde, the better. I've never felt better. Hell, I think the cure to depression is plowing a hardy horde. Medical fact. But there's a saying in Texas, never plow a horde raw. If you're plowing these hordes without mods, get ready to catch a
Is that
disease of the
I'm
mind.
sorry,
You'll get
it's
raw.
CJ from San Andreas.
If you're plowing these hordes without mods, get ready to catch a disease of the mind. You'll get syphilis like Nietzsche and start jibber-jabbering. I tried plowing a horde unmodded once, and it had me sweating like a horde in church. If I had to sum up my experience, I would say... And if I had to expound, I wouldn't. Listen, what I'm trying to say is this. Horde mode put me at a crossroads. Get good at the game, or become CJ with a flamethrower that has unlimited ammo. But I'm no cheater, and under no circumstances would I ever mod a game. I modded the game.
Bitch, I'm back out my coma.
We're gonna burn, and we're gonna maim, because we're doing every fucking night.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
The first mod I grabbed is the mod that gives me the heavy flamer. Why? Because I believe in the Retortes Codex.
Sir, are you allowed to say that word? You can in my chapter.
Forget your little space book. I live on my own code. And on page 1 of our codex, it says all must wield a heavy flamer in the name of Space Jesus. In fact, it's actually the only page in there. It's more of a Retardees pamphlet. The heavy flamer, aka the climate changer, aka the bug spray,
The heavy bug spray.
is essential for horde mode. There's a reason why the salamanders love this gun, and it's because it kills the most heretics per second. When I see that filthy little rat sprinkling his little fentanyl dust, he burns. When I see that witch shooting fent ropes and reviving comrades, he burns. When I see a basement full of bugs,
He's not so fun when it's you getting fucked, is it?
and whatever can't get melted by fire will get melted by lead. Take the Biovore, for example. Problem, they're fucking cockroaches with cannons strapped to their head. Solution, Imperial Mac-10 with 57-round extended magazine and a fire rate that would make an AC-130 blush. Even in space, there's not a single problem that can't be solved by a fully automatic weapon. But the more important question is, why are they called salamanders? It's because they like having sex with bugs. If you see a space marine out there wearing dark green, just know that means that they want to fuck the Geico gecko.
Fleek actually means...
Silence, Lornard! The Retortes Codex has spoken. And as long as we're talking about the lore, I'd like to correct a lore mistake I made a few videos back. I think I called the Space Marines space racists, but they're just not that small-minded. They don't care if an orc is from Sweden or Madagascar. They care that they are an orc. Therefore, they must... The second problem to fix was matching their numbers. I don't like that Space Jesus stiffed us by sending 3 men against 3 armies. What, is he broke now? I didn't realize that Space Jesus was a dusty bitch these days. Over in Dawn of War 2, they give you 15 men to go burn down 1 greenskin orphanage. Here, that cuck Leandros decided we shouldn't even earn minimum wage here. He decided in exchange for fighting 2 million bugs that my big blue ass should be put on food stampicus. So you know what I said? I said,
Fuck that, brother!
the second mod is the Trust Fund Marine mod. Now everything we get from the shop is free.
Know your worth, brother!
Wanna buy a harem of Imperial Guardsmen? I don't know why you'd want to. All they're good at is dying in funny ways, but have at it. If they were gonna make them useless, they should have at least made them cat girls, which are in the lore, by the way. Wouldn't you agree with that, lore goblins? Fantastic. Wanna call in 6 Space Marines at the same time? A brother shouldn't have to suffer alone. In fact, get the entire team to do it, and you'll have 18 brothers fighting alongside you. Look at them, they're raring to go to battle. Now when I get to hive tackled, I don't get stun locked for long enough to set down the controller, raise a family, pay them through college, start a second family on the other side of town and pay them through college. No, now an entire fucking regiment checks them.
Damn.
But a brother's gotta know his limitation. He has to know when he's hit a wall, so he knows when to call in a dreadnought to smash that fucking wall down. Dreadnoughts are what a Space Marine's Make-A-Wish looks like. It's also what mine looks like. You know how BioShock has Little Girl and Big Daddy? The Space Marines are the little girl, dreadnoughts are the Big Daddy. You want my advice for living a prosperous life? Die. Now.
Die?
But before you do that, buy a dreadnought and a revive relic so that you can let the dread kill everything once you die, and then hit the Narcan once he's all finished up. Your job now is to be a good little 600-pound passenger princess with 24-inch biceps. Now, what does this have to do with the mod? I'm glad you asked, man. The mod lets me call in my special boy every wave. If you're struggling, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, swipe the Emperor's credit card, and buy a dreadnought every wave to fix all your problems. I don't get why people say this mode is hard. He comes in, he fires 1 rocket at a wall, then 1 rocket at a closed door, then with 75% of the timer left, he pulls his real special move, leaving. That's what my special boy does. One time, there was an enemy that was trapped in spawn, so we tried throwing grenades at him, but that just made the problem worse. Enter the Dreadnought. We bought him for 100 coins. He spawns in. 15 seconds later, that's right, he leaves. The Ratates Codex approves of this action. Enter the second Dreadnought. He spawns in. That's right, does nothing. So we decided to give him some words of encouragement.
You are fucking worthless.
Then he teleported to exactly where the Xeno was under the map and purged his ass. Burn down, false idol.
Oh wait, he's down there.
He learned. He took the word. You got it, buddy. You did it, buddy. Space Jesus wasn't there for me, so I had to give in to chaos. To have the flamer, you must also have the uwu on every heavy attack. It was my penance. My plight. God, it's beautiful, Jack. I do not aim with my eyes. He who aims with his eyes has forgotten the face of his father. I aim with my uwus. But senpai, that's heresy. Doing the horde mode normally, you got a 50-50 shot of winning, brother. Use all the mods I just listed, and that adds 30% to your 50%, giving you a 66% chance of winning. But there's a mod that lets you bring up to 12 brothers. Then if we all grab 5 of the AI brothers, we add 60 brothers to our 12 brothers,
and we'll have 76 brothers total, which adds 33 and a third % chance to our already 66 chance of winning, giving us a 103% chance of winning. That's Fleaker math, and the math doesn't lie. The Xenos won't stand a chance. We are genetic freaks, and we're not normal. Applications are open now. You must like excruciating pain and cat girls.
I like cat girls.
You also must be open to the idea of your computer overheating and exterminating your entire apartment. But let's not get lost in the details. Fax me your submission, brothers. I'll be waiting.
In this long-ass queue for Battlefield 6, God damn! Thank you to the flock of pimps for bankrolling this video, and another huge thanks to all the pimpers. I will see you all to commit some more war crimes on the modern front as soon as I can get past this queue, goddamn.
I mean, war crimes are fun. On video games.